Hey everybody, welcome back to TAZ's Wig Closet at Wig Studio One. Today we're going to talk about why your wig doesn't look like mine or maybe somebody else's that you have seen. We're going to discuss variances, why they happen, and lots of examples. This is for both wig wearers that are new and those that are seasoned. It's to set the right expectation about mass-produced wigs you won't want to miss coming up. So gosh, if there is something that I have learned that has stuck with me since the beginning about the wig industry, that is to expect the unexpected. I can't tell you how many times I was disappointed when I received a wig because it didn't look like the manufacturer's photo, or it didn't look like one of the reviewers that I was watching, or it didn't look like the last one I just bought. Same style, color, and everything. It looked a little bit different. These wigs are mass produced. They're produced in big lots, big batches, okay, ordered by the manufacturer. And I think, a lot of times they're made overseas. They're made in China, they're made in Indonesia, and probably maybe a few other places as well, which I don't think really makes a difference. But when you purchase a style from one lot, and the next one came from another lot, made in maybe even a totally different factory, even though they have quality control standards in place, you can still see some differences. So one way you can kind of safeguard your paycheck against a wig that you may not like is to choose an online retailer with a very permissive returns policy. I know at Wig Studio One, and I'll attach the links below, there are free returns, no stocking fees. They're really, really free. And you can take advantage of that service as needed. So more information will be below. And if you have any questions for us about the returns policy, you can always email support@wigstudio1.com. So there are some features of wigs that tend to have more variance from style to style than other features. I've been wearing wigs a long time, and I'm a big fan and lover of curly wig styles. Curly wig styles seem to have the most variance among the curl pattern. So we get one and it has a beautiful tight curl, like nice ringlets, and we love it. And we want to get it back up, or one in a different color, and it comes and it's loose. The curl isn't there. The curl kind of fell out. It's a very big disappointment to us, isn't it? Curly wig styles tend to have more variances from style to style than others. And I also think density is a big one, that you can see some variance among the same style. Some have a lot of hair, and then you can get one and it's kind of sparse in areas, or at least we think it's sparse because we're comparing it to the ones we've experienced in the past. Or if Taz's review, she says this wig is a light density and you get it and it's full of hair, tons of it, sometimes that can happen. And another one is the texture and the feel of the fiber. So you learn to expect certain things from certain brands or styles that you have used in the past and enjoy. And when you get one with a little bit of a different texture, that can also kind of throw you for a loop. Let's take, for instance, a heat-friendly fiber, Raquel Welch, just using that as an example. Most of the time, those styles come and it's a nice luxurious fiber. It feels very soft, velvety. It almost has like a waxy cuticle on it. It glides very nicely. And then other times it feels rather dry and rough in texture. And we have to remember that these wigs are all chemicals. It's a chemical composition. And if one little variable in the manufacturing process is off, it could potentially interrupt the bonding of those chemicals and things to where it has a different feel and texture. One thing with color is it's highly variable because colors, and especially highlights, are distributed in a way on a style that it gives you the most flattering look. So the shaded cappuccino on my editor's pick is likely to have different highlight pattern than my shaded cappuccino on straight up with a twist, or in a straight style. So color differences we can see as well. And another area where I see a lot of variability is in the size of the cap. Most of these are average cap sizes, right? but we have learned over time what to expect from caps that are larger, like Aesthetica, very roomy caps. They fit me huge all the way around, front to back, ear to ear. Beltress is becoming a bigger cap size. Henry Margu fits me large. So you just kind of learn to know what to expect when it comes to cap size. And when you get one that's either too small or too big, and there's a lot of variability, that can really throw you off, because I think more than anything else, if you can't get a secure fit on your cap, if it's too large or if it's too small, it really does ruin the whole experience of that wig style. So the last thing I want to talk about are wig reviews. Thank God for wig reviews, right? But they're not foolproof, and here's why. It's this variance issue that we run into sometimes. And wig reviews are the best, hands down, the best resource we have when it goes to shopping for wigs. It's way better than it used to be, where all we would have is a little bit of a description, a flat image, and a color swatch that didn't say much about the color at all. So wig reviews tell us a lot. They reveal a lot about a wig style before we decide to purchase. But most wig reviewers and wig reviews only have one piece of a particular style to present to the audience and to talk about and to observe and to give you some feedback on. And sometimes one piece is not enough. It's almost like we need 3, 4, 5 different pieces so that we can kind of get a sense of where the variances may be on a style, so that you have a better sense of that. So variances are still something that we don't predict very well. And I will give you my observations about a style based on the piece that I have. We can't assume that the other ones are going to be the same, but we also can't assume that they're going to be different. So I just always want to put the caveat out there that we can see variances from style to style, and that I can only report on the piece that I have. Now I want to give you some examples of some recent styles that I have received, and ones that have very big known variances, just so you can train your mind to kind of anticipate some of the variances that can happen from style to style. So for instance, I am wearing my beloved Dalgona 16 by Beltress. This one has quickly become a favorite style of mine. It's a super easy to wear. It's lightly layered. It's just an all-around perfect wig for me. I really, really love it. This one is in the Butterbeer Blonde. This is the first one that I received for my review, okay? And when it came right out of the box, it had a very perpetual lift right there at the front, okay? I mean, it was pressed in. It was hard baked in there when I took it out of the box, and I was thrilled with it, because my preference personally is that I like a little bit of lift at the front to keep the hair out of my face. So I am not altering the wig in any way. When I do a review, I just push it away from the face in most cases. And if I have to do anything more than that, I will certainly let you know. So again, this was the first Dalgona. I have 3 of them now, and they're all different. Let me change into the Champagne with Apple Pie. So this is the Dalgona 16 by Beltress in the color Champagne with Apple Pie. And again, just absolutely 100% thrilled with the style. It was very consistent in terms of kind of curl pattern and layering and things like that. Now, there was a little bit of lift at the front, but it didn't have that hard pressed look. I mean, it was there for sure. And, you know, I emphasized it just by combing the hair away from the face, right? But this one's a little easier, that if you didn't want that you could actually wear it down over the forehead more. But that lift was there right out of the box. And again, this was my second piece. And so to make an assumption that most of them probably have that baked in lift there at the front is probably a good assumption, right? Then along came my third piece. I'll try it on. Okay, so this is the third Dalgona in the British milk tea color. I could not wait to get this. As soon as I experienced the British milk tea, I'm like, I have to have it on my favorite style, Dalgona 16. So I quickly ordered it. And when it came and I put it on, I'm like, oh, is that Dalgona? And it is. I mean, you can see that some of the layering is the same. It doesn't have as much curl on the top. So again, I am seeing a variance in the curl pattern here for sure. And absolutely no lift, no hint of any lift at all at the lace front. Okay. It's absolutely beautiful. And this is right out of the box, guys. But there's a lack of curl. And there's no volume and lift at all. It's very flat on top. None of the contour. So I'm going to cut to a little side-by-side frame of the Butterbeer Blonde, which is the first one I received with the lift in the front and more curl, and then this one. This is Raquel Welch's editor's pick. This one is Iced Latte Macchiato, which is RL1723SS. I got this one maybe about a year and a half ago, I want to say. Of course, I don't wear it all the time. But what I'd like to remark on is the curl pattern. So you see that this one has a lot of curl. It's separated, it's choppy. It's more well-defined, although it's tousled. The front behaves really well, and again, I didn't style this. I didn't take any heat at all to this wig. This is the way it was. Now, I don't brush through these curls, so I like to keep the definition. That noodle-like texture on this one I like really well. And so on the editor's pick, the biggest variance is the density and the curl pattern. So this is the Raquel Welch's editor's pick in the Iced Sweet Cream, their newest color on this style. So it's obvious to see that it's still editor's pick. I think you can recognize it as editor's pick, but there are quite a bit of differences. The curl pattern's a lot more relaxed. They've actually tapered a little bit at the ends. This kind of a texture actually reminds me a little more of Beltress than it does Raquel Welch. It seems a little longer too in length, and I think that might just be because the curl is a little more loosely held, which may give the appearance of length. So here's another recent example of some of the variances that we can see from style to style among wigs of the same style. This is Counterculture by Beltress. This is the first color that I received, which was the Roca Margarita Blonde, and this is the one that I did the review for, okay? Just a slight contour at the front, nothing drastic at all. The curl really doesn't start until you get about halfway down the style. It's kind of a smooth crown and then blossoms into curl. Whoa, is this even the same wig style? Yes, I assure you that it is. It is Counterculture by Beltress in the new color British Milk Tea. And this one was right out of the box. I just separated the curl a little bit, but you see how stiff and set that front piece is there? That one has a real permanent set cowlick right there at the front. And the curl goes almost all the way up to the crown, up to the top of the crown. And there's lots of curl all the way around. So I rather like this one. I really do. And sometimes it is a surprise, but sometimes it's in a good way. So this will be my final example of some variances that you can expect. This is my Sweet Talk Luxury by Gabor in GL 1422 SS. I did a review on this one and I absolutely loved everything about this. The curl pattern, it laid nicely around the face. So I ordered another one off of clearance and it was in the color Sun-Kissed Beige. So I'll go ahead and apply that one and point out some of the differences. I feel like the Gabor Sweet Talk is just one of those styles that you should expect variances and variability on every single one that you purchase. There's going to be something a little bit different about that style. I've never received two of them that seemed a lot alike. So here is the Sweet Talk Luxury in that Sun-Kissed Beige. It's obviously a Sweet Talk. It's easy to see that. But the curl pattern is a little softer and rounder. It doesn't seem as long. It's not as taken down on the ends as the other one that I showed you, the GL 1422 SS. It's fuller, it's rounder, it's shorter. It doesn't react the same way around the face. The curl just doesn't lay as nicely, but it's shorter. It's so much shorter that I really enjoyed some of the stacking effect on the sides of the other one. This one is just full, round, and short. Again, just not what I was expecting from Sweet Talk. So just to recap a little bit on my discussion on variances on mass-produced wigs. Some of the big areas that you can see variances in is the curl pattern. We can see variances in the cap size, density, permatease, lace features. All of these can include some variances among wigs of the same exact style. We talked about choosing an online retailer that has a really nice permissive returns policy, such as Wig Studio One. And we also talked about how a reviewer typically only has one piece to show you. And that even though that is the best tool we have in our tool belt, please expect that your piece may not look like the reviewer's piece. It's always a pleasure to be in front of you. We'll see you next time on Taz's Wig Closet at Wig Studio One.